Iran drops Israel bombshell after Sydney Jewish massacre. Israeli action. Iranian leader shocking charge on Tel Aviv. Sydney terror. Jihadist action or state-sponsored bloodshed. Israel suspects Iranian involvement. Australia probes ISIS connection. Iran has responded strongly to Saturday's attack in Australia, alleging that Israel was responsible for orchestrating the incident. Speaking to Iran's Mehr news agency on Monday, Ibrahim Azizi, chairman of the Iranian Parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Commission, condemned the attack in strong terms and alleged Israel's involvement. Islamic Republic of Iran deeply sympathizes with the Australian people. Islamic Republic of Iran denounces this heinous crime and other similar crimes with the strongest word. The Zionist regime itself played a role in the incident. The attack prompted widespread international condemnation, including from Iran and several other countries, over the targeting of civilians at a religious event. Azizi said Iran firmly denounces the killing of civilians and stressed that those responsible, whether individuals or organized groups, must be confronted decisively. The shooting took place during celebrations marking Hanukkah at Sydney's Bondi Beach, a popular public location. Australian officials said gunmen opened fire on a crowd attending the event, killing at least 12 people, while dozens were injured and taken to hospitals. Authorities confirmed that 2 suspects were detained, with one of the attackers fatally shot by police during the response. While Iran pointed fingers at Israel, Israeli officials quickly described the shooting as an anti-Semitic attack. They argued that hostility toward Jewish communities in Australia has intensified in recent months and claimed they had previously warned Canberra about the rise of anti-Semitic sentiment.
Even today, there are those who try to murder, and tragically, even today, they have succeeded in murdering Jews, massacring Jews in Sydney, Australia. I wrote a letter 4 months ago to Australia's Prime Minister, and I said to him, your current policy is actively encouraging terror, it's fostering anti-Semitism. You are advocating for a Palestinian state, and in doing so, you are essentially awarding Hamas a prize for the horrific massacre they perpetrated against us on that terrible 7th of October. You are giving legitimacy to all these lawbreakers, and you are not lifting a finger to eliminate these terror hotbeds, and this will lead to more murders. He did nothing, and we know there will be more attacks.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu strongly condemned the attack, calling it cold-blooded murder. In remarks following the incident, Netanyahu said he had cautioned Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese earlier this year that Australia's stated support for recognizing a Palestinian state could fuel anti-Semitism domestically. Netanyahu cited an August letter to Albanese in which he warned that such policies would embolden extremists and endanger Jewish communities. Australian Prime Minister Albanese, who announced Australia's intention to recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly in September, rejected those claims and convened an emergency meeting of Australia's National Security Committee after the shooting.
What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach, that is associated with joy, associated with families gathering, associated with celebrations, and it is forever tarnished by what has occurred last evening. This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge, and we will eradicate it together. The Australian Federal Police and ASIO are working closely with New South Wales authorities and the briefing we've just had. We have had the AFP there, and the AFP Commissioner will return to Australia today. We will dedicate every single resource that is required in responding to this. To the brave responders, first responders, including ordinary citizens who acted yesterday, thank you for what you do. People rushing towards danger to show the best of the Australian character. That's who we are, people who stand up for our values. Flags will fly at half-mast across the country today as we pay our respects to all those lost and all those who have been injured. And we conclude by saying that yesterday was indeed a dark day in our nation's history, but we as a nation are stronger than the cowards who did this. I thank world leaders who have reached out, from President Trump, President Macron, Prime Minister Starmer, others right around the world have reached out to Australia at this time, and we thank you for your sympathy and your solidarity with our values. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred, and we will come through this together. We refuse to let them divide us as a nation.
Australian Prime Minister Albanese condemned the shooting as beyond comprehension, describing it as a targeted assault on Jewish Australians during a religious celebration meant to symbolize hope and faith. Australian authorities have stressed that the investigation is ongoing and urged the public to avoid speculation as security agencies work to establish the facts. Earlier, Australian investigators probed possible foreign links to the deadly shooting. According to the Times of Israel, a senior Jewish community leader said authorities are examining whether Iran could be connected to the attack. Jeremy Liebler, president of the Zionist Federation of Australia, told the Times of Israel that Australia's foreign ministry was reviewing intelligence related to potential Iranian involvement, calling it a real possibility. Australian officials have not publicly confirmed any foreign role, urging caution as inquiries continue. Iran Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai later condemned the violence, denouncing terrorism wherever it occurs. The investigation unfolds amid strained Australia-Iran ties following earlier allegations by Canberra that Tehran was linked to anti-Semitic attacks in 2024. The Bondi beach shooting marks the deadliest anti-Semitic-related attack in Australia in recent years, coming amid heightened tensions and a series of incidents targeting Jewish institutions since the outbreak of the Gaza War in October 2023.
Australia is on high alert as investigators probe who was behind the deadly attack on Sydney's Jewish community. Australian officials have termed the attack as a terror attack. Until now, they have not accused any particular group or country. But Israel is suspecting Iranian involvement in directing the strike. Israelis have started examining whether the massacre was carried out by lone wolf terrorists, organized groups, or even a hostile state actor. If a state is involved, Iran is emerging as the primary suspect, according to Israeli intelligence assessments. Officials are also probing possible links to terror groups including Hezbollah, Hamas, and Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, which has historic ties to al-Qaeda. Israeli intelligence agencies warned this attack fits a broader pattern, claiming Iran has been preparing to strike Jewish targets abroad. They allege Tehran has smuggled weapons and activated online incitement cells to radicalize and coordinate attacks overseas. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has already earlier accused Iran of directing earlier anti-Semitic attacks inside Australia. He had revealed that intelligence agency ASIO concluded Iran ordered arson attacks on a kosher food business in Sydney and a synagogue in Melbourne last year. These were foreign state-backed acts of aggression on Australian soil, Albanese said, calling them attempts to divide society. Following the findings, Australia expelled Iran's ambassador and relocated its own diplomats out of Tehran. As investigations continue, security remains heightened, with authorities warning that the threat environment is still evolving. The Bondi attack has now triggered global alarm, raising fears of a wider campaign targeting Jewish communities far beyond Australia.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi, which we believe has several improvised explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that. This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear, we will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge a moment of national unity, where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation. Our police and security agencies are working to determine anyone associated with this outrage. Our agencies will provide you with factual updates as quickly as possible as they continue to emerge. The evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension, and the trauma and loss that families are dealing with tonight is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Australians have had their lives cruelly stolen, and many have been injured. For all Australians, our first thoughts are with those in the terrible early hours of their grief. We are also thinking of everyone being treated for their injuries, and many of whom are alive right now because of the courage and quick action of the New South Wales Police and the first responders who rushed to their aid, as well as the courage of everyday Australians who, without hesitating, put themselves in danger in order to keep their fellow Australians safe. We know that there were many people there to celebrate a happy occasion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and there was well over 1,000 people there when this took place.
As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, at 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity. At this stage, I don't believe so. However, I do believe that a child was transported to hospital. Again, I don't want to give information that turns out to be incorrect. It is very early. We know that there has been a number of people turn up to hospital. We've had 29 others transported, and we know people are still turning up there. As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi, which we believe has several improvised explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that.
Approximately 6:47 this evening, two individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying evil attack. This is a shocking event. It's not common in Australia, and it's all the more shocking because of that. What I can say is that there will be a comprehensive police response. Anything New South Wales Police needs in terms of resources, we will provide them. If there's changes that need to be made, we will do that immediately. I mean, we need to be in a situation where we're sending a clear and unambiguous message to the Jewish community, in fact every Australian that lives in this state, that these horrible acts of violence will never be tolerated, and anyone who perpetrates them we will throw the book at. Anyone who's thinking about it will be thoroughly investigated. This is a terrible night for Sydney, but I think it's important to say we can't let these evil people divide Australia up. We need to be in a situation where, as shocking as this is, there are still wonderful people in the Bondi community right throughout New South Wales. That's what these terrorists want. They want Australians divided and at each other's throats, and we can't let that happen. In fact, we won't let that happen. Premier.
I seen like a kid, like she was like maybe 8 years old. She got injured in the leg, and she was crying, and she was on the ground. So she was behind her mom. Her mom was on the ground as well. So her mom, she was holding her kid. She was 8 years old, and the other kid, she was like maybe 2-3 years old as well. And yeah, they've been like that, and many people they've been running away.
Our heart goes out to them. Our heart misses a beat. The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them, and we pray for those who've lost their lives. We send our warmest strength from here, from Jerusalem, and we repeat our alert time and again to the Australian government to seek action and fight against the enormous wave of anti-Semitism which is plaguing Australian society.